What is up, everybody? Holy crap. We have a massive episode for you guys today and for us and for everybody out there. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're already ahead of last week. The chat's working. So shout out to the chat. That's a massive improvement. How are you doing, Buff?
Really good, man. Really good. Looks like my internet may be kind of on the bad side right now, the way the video is looking on my end, but hopefully it'll correct itself. But yeah, doing pretty good. Had a good 4th of July weekend, and yeah, we have a lot to talk about for not only Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, but a lot of different games. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, it should be good. I actually set the bit rate wrong. So hopefully
Okay.
I can change that part way through and that
So
should
it's
help
not
clear it
me.
up a little bit.
Okay.
No, it's definitely me.
Okay,
I don't
good.
know if you can
There
change
it
the bit.
is.
Does
There
that
it
look
is.
better?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Ooh,
Phew.
man, the production team. Guys, if that is the worst mess up we have tonight, we're going to be absolutely killing it today. We have a
Yeah.
lot of stuff to cover. We have like a whole bunch of stuff to look at on screen. So the production team is going to be working overtime tonight.
Extra
But
busy for
yeah,
sure.
but yeah, man, how was your 4th of July? Well, yeah, that was first before we get
Yeah, it was
crazy.
it was good. I was out on my buddy's boat. We went up north to my buddy's camp. So out on the boat, have some really nice like lounge chair floaties where you're partially like submerged in water. So we anchored out there, submerged in our little floaties, and got some really good sun and some beers. Floated out there for many hours. Did some what would we play? Some cornhole. Yeah, I got a lot of sun. So I'm definitely, I mean, if there's a Top Gun 3 coming out anytime soon, like I'm ready for any beach scene right now. So sign me
Oh
up.
yeah, you'd probably be in there. Hashtag
That's
invite
it.
Buff. Come on,
That's
guys,
right.
get it out there, get it trending. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I went and visited my folks. It was good to see them, and like any holiday with my family, it turned into pretty much Thanksgiving. We just had a ton of food. My dad smoked a bunch of ribs and brisket and stuff, so I
That sounds awesome.
ate so much, and then we went and watched fireworks and had a couple good cigars. It was all cool. One day,
Very
my
nice.
dream is to be able to have a filter system in here so I can smoke cigars while we talk about video games. I think that would be amazing. One day,
Hell yeah.
one day. I'll have to save up like 17 years of YouTube checks and I'll be able to pull that off. So, yeah, anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. Let's get into the stuff because again, this is another one of those weeks where I'm always like, I don't know if there is enough content out there to talk about first person shooter video games every week, but it never ceases to disappoint. We have so much stuff that's happened over the last week to talk about. Sorry we missed yesterday, but we just kind of wanted to celebrate with our families today. We came back refreshed, ready to go. We got all the bourbon and seltzers out of our system, so we're feeling good over here. And yeah, we'll get right into it. A couple super quick announcements. Again, shout out to the podcast listener. The show is a podcast. If you're interested in that kind of thing, on all the major platforms, link in the description if you want to check that out. Also, check out Buff's channel. Since we're on my channel, we might do some lives on his channel eventually, maybe alternate or something like that. But that's going to be worked on in the future. But links to all his stuff is down in the description, so give him a follow. He does a lot of really awesome, unique content about Modern Warfare and already about Modern Warfare 2. So if you want to stay updated on that, definitely check out his channel. It is good stuff. Chat shout out, like I said, is actually working, so that's amazing. Chat is on the screen, so you guys can chat. And when people watch the VOD back, you guys are part of the show. I love the conversation down there. I appreciate it. And the second most bestest dream that I have is to get 69 likes one day on one of these streams. So we'll get it one day. So if you guys hit
We'll
the
get
like
there.
button,
We'll
super,
get
super
there.
appreciate that. So yeah, let's do what we do here. And unfortunately, sorry, I'm bitter. Talk about the Battlefield 2042 1.1 update. Did you get a chance to see what was going on with that?
I watched your video on it, so that's the context I have. I didn't read the past notes or anything. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll get into our feelings on it here.
Yeah, it is a weird update, and that's kind of how I approached my video. Again, I was really hoping, and I said this on Twitter, I was really hoping for that map rework. Kaleidoscope was supposed to come out partway through this season, and now they're saying that's going to be in August, and August is likely the last month of the season. So these map reworks are going to be coming at the end of the season now, and they said partway through. I don't know. It's a little weird, like how late they are with stuff. All of
I
these,
Yeah,
like
especially because they have a full development team, right? Everybody's working on the game, so
exactly what I was gonna say. Like all these things, like don't stand up to what they said with everybody working on it. More and more things happen, less and less content, and I start
Mhm.
to side more with Jeff Grubb and Tom Henderson about this being his skeleton crew because,
Oh yeah.
uh, yeah, this isn't a lot. There's a lot of little updates and stuff like that, I guess. The main things, like I talked about in the video, that are just worth mentioning. I kind of messed up. They originally, I said that they didn't nerf the 50mm cannons on the choppers. They actually did. They didn't put it in the notes. They added that. It was also kind of funny when they tweeted, they said that this was coming out in June 6th, so they had the wrong date month on the tweet, so they had to fix that. And then they're one of the strongest guns in the game is getting stronger. So the AS Val, as everyone else knows it as, instead of the BSVM or whatever they call it in this game, got a bullet velocity and a headshot buff. They buffed all of the DMRs kind of as a whole. I don't know if they had some kind of data on DMRs as the category not doing well, and they just buffed them across the board. But a lot of the really good players are talking about how that's just incredibly bad and out of touch. I've seen a lot of tweets from people that are still playing the game quite a bit that are not impressed with that.
It's weird too because that's really, if we look at it, like that's the only primary weapon that actually came out, right? Excluding crossbows and all that. But it's one weapon, and of course it's overpowered. I'm really just getting like really bad flashbacks to other games that we'll talk about later when there's new weapons introduced, they're just busted, and to have the developers buff them is
Yeah,
makes
and
me cringe.
I definitely went there in the video and talked about how they're buffing these weapons that are in the battle pass to either make people play or unlock tiers or whatever. Like taking a weapon out of COD's book in more ways than one on that deal, I
Yeah.
feel like. And then the other thing that I thought was weird, but actually Justin figured it out on Twitter and corrected me. Uh, they said they put a bunch of hazard zone notes in there, and I was like, wasn't hazard zone discontinued? But they made a lot of tweaks and adjustments to hazard zone. Justin
Oh
said,
wow.
I looked it up. He was correct that those changes were already in there, but they didn't make the last patch notes. So they put the changes from last time on to this time, which I don't understand. There's so many
They've
things I don't
haven't
understand.
haven't they had a habit of doing that even back in Battlefield 5, if I'm remembering correctly, where they would make changes and they would just would exclude them from the patch notes?
Yeah, I feel like they've always really struggled with communication of any type, including patch notes. Have always been really hard for Dice. The other thing that I thought was a little bit strange, and I mentioned this in my video, I'm still salty that we haven't got like a core feedback loop. Like they talked about specialist is going to be next, and then nothing. And they said there were going to be multiple core feedback loops in the coming months, and they just like offed it. Like they just decided nope,
Yeah,
which is
that
so weird.
I'm really frustrated that we haven't heard about the specialist feedback because that's the number one thing I think the community's kind of waiting on, right? Is something news wise about the specialists. So I mean, what are they going to do? I think the majority of the community just wants them gone, to be honest. So I think they're trying to figure out how they can appease the community as well as still make money with the monetization aspect of the seasons. But I mean, they're in a tough spot there, but they definitely need to say something about it soon because I think everyone's getting really upset that they haven't said anything about what they're planning to do going forward.
Yeah, it's so weird how they haven't said anything about that, and they just like it's one thing if if it's not something that you want to pursue and continue, but like tell us, like if you just
Right.
have to say the core feedback loops are something that is not going to help us at development of this time, we're discontinuing those for now.
Hmm.
That's all you got to say. Like it sucks, but at least acknowledge it, man. Like I don't get
Yeah.
it, dude.
It's a little bit concerning too because I remember, um, was it Tom Henderson, I believe, maybe said some things about what the current prior to the bad reception of 2042, they were planning on evolving the specialist system in the next title to more of a quote unquote like hero style shooter and improving upon what they had done with this. Obviously, it would seem like those that's not going to happen anymore, but also that's what we heard early on. It'd be good to know that's not going to happen because
Yeah.
that would be very very concerning. I think they need to do something to get the specialists back to the ordinary faceless soldier that we're all used to because that really is more is gives me the battlefield feeling. Especially you're playing the trailer in the background. There's some scenes here in this trailer where you have those no name default soldiers and that's what I think everyone was pumped about with the trailer. And there was obviously worries about specialists, but when the game launched, it was kind of shocking to me that you couldn't all just select and be a generic soldier to start with or something. So I just don't think they implemented it correctly, nor did they really think
Yeah.
it through.
And my hope is going forward that they've already put out some job listings for developers for the new Seattle studio with former Halo developer Marcus Leto. That's
Hmm.
going to be a story-driven studio working on like a campaign or more of a single-player open world game, is what it sounds like. I'm hoping the specialists go live over there. Like telling stories of the specialists and having them be in a campaign, I think is pretty cool. You could tell the backstories and just go crazy with them
Hmm.
in a campaign type single player game, and then yeah, give us back the grunts. Let us be like a nameless faceless engineer that's just trying to do your part in the middle of a massive battle and
Hmm.
trying to pull stuff off, help your squad, and do the best you can, is what I'm hoping for. It's kind of what we
I
all
was
wanted. That's one of the cool
I,
things about Battlefield.
right. I kind of originally when this was the specialist thing was announced, I was thinking they were going to do similar to like Modern Warfare did with operators, right? Because they don't have any special abilities. Operators, you can still monetize them through the store, battle passes, things like that, and they look like they belong. For the most part, if we're referencing like Modern Warfare, you had some skins out there, obviously, that were a little weird, but I always thought that was the best way for them to do it, and I've kind of been thinking about that ever since Battlefield 3 and 4 days. You could have like different default skins for your soldiers for like Navy SEALs, Delta, Russian Spetsnaz, GRU, and for whatever the country. They used to do a pretty good job of this back in Battlefield 2 on PC. That seems like it would have been the better way to go with this. So I'm really curious what made them think they needed to go with the specialists or hero type route with this one.
Yeah, I think they were just kind of chasing trends, and I feel like the financial
I think so
department
too.
of EA had more of a say on it than the developers did.
Hmm.
From what I just that's just my guess, pulling it out of my butt. That's
Yeah.
what I think. But
I mean, with Apex Legends, right? It's kind of like that's kind of what it is it not? So,
yeah, and that makes EA a buttload of money, as we've heard
right.
from the earnings
Hmm.
calls. They make a killing on that game, so I
Yeah.
feel like that they will just do that again. Give us two of
Hmm.
those, and
Yeah.
then it kind of got out of hand.
Yeah. It's not good.
Didn't feel like Battlefield. But like as far as content goes, I've said it before. I really thought that those how do I say it? Those map reworks are vital to getting the
Hmm.
game to playing better. I think in spite of the specialist, if you had really good maps, the game would still play decent. And I am like begging them and wishing that they would get those out soon as they can, like as soon as they can.
Hmm.
Big Fry said it, and I also said it. Like as soon as it's blocked out, even if it still just has like the white and gray checkerboard on it, and
Yeah.
it's not completely textured yet, put that thing out there and get people to playing on it. I think doing one map rework at the end of the season, one at a new map at the beginning, and then one map rework at the end of the season is just not enough. And it's not. I don't know. It's not fair to the community either.
Yeah. It's exactly someone. The Bulletkin said it in chat. We need a CTE, and that's exactly what I was just thinking of. The CTE, they would bring in those new maps with just zero textures and let the community, in the CTE, play through them and see how they played. Obviously, you don't want to release a zero texture map like that to the public, which is why they should still have a CTE. But at least, I think you're right. The map doesn't need to be completely finished, but something's better than nothing. But I mean, that's easier said than done. It's just unfortunate we're kind of in this situation to begin with instead of the maps being done as we would have expected at launch.
Yep. I hope they have a better way to take player feedback and stuff. And that's honestly, I mean, the core feedback loop thing got me actually excited. The way they took map feedback, there were a lot of really active community members that put some really good detailed feedback forward, and they took that
Hmm.
into account and they came back and said, this is what we're going to do with the maps. And then I also thought they were going to do that with specialists. Now I know the comments and stuff could have got a little toxic, could have got a little colorful, because everyone has a strong opinion on specialists, one way or the other, mostly one way, let's be fair.
Yeah.
But they could have. There's also been some really good ideas put forward on how to tone them down, tone them back, and make them fit into a traditional class structure. And I was hoping that those points would get taken on the same way they did with the maps. And I'm probably more bummed than I should be that they're completely ghosting us on the core feedback loops. But I was just hopeful, and the way they just dropped it really just sits bad with me.
In a lot of that specialist reworks from the community, I remember that was done even before the game launched. If I'm remembering correctly, people were putting out things on Reddit as to how they should fit into classes and this and that. We've seen a lot of it since. I know some people you've had on here before I joined had gone over that. I think I won't even try and remember the channels, but they've done a good job doing videos, just walking through that. But I agree. I mean, it is disappointing, especially that they haven't said anything. To me, all that means is they're hard at work and they don't want to, give away the information before they're ready to fully show it. But also, I think at this point, um, they're in a position where they should be just giving us a little bit of something to keep us interested in what's to come
Yeah.
instead of just ghosting us.
And I think season 2 has to have an absolute buttload of content.
Hmm.
It should have, and I think season 2 is going to really tell us. It's going to be the final bit of information on, is it a skeleton crew
Hmm.
like Jeff Grubb and Tom Henderson said, or is it like EA said and all hands on deck? We're going to see when season 2 comes out in a few months. The other
Right.
thing I wanted to talk about, USA Specialists had really good videos on how those fit into classes. And then Tinsk in chat, TENSK, Tinsk in chat, had a really well put together video on how to fit them into the class structure. And I just wish DICE could take a look at stuff like that. His video was, I mean, very thorough.
Hmm.
Graphics and everything on how they fit in, how the gadgets work, moving them around to different classes. And it was an incredibly well done video. And so if you wonder, like, my opinion, check out his channel and video, because like it's the perfect compromise, in my opinion, on how to fit those into a class system and give us kind of back that Battlefield feeling that we're used to.
Yeah, that's all. I'm gonna thanks Tensk. I'm gonna have to go check them out after this. I'm sure I had probably watched some stuff not knowing it, but now that you're in chat and we're talking about it, I'm definitely gonna hop over after. Yeah, I mean, you're right. All in all, I think they need to do a better job listening to the community and taking the feedback, because the community, I mean, a lot of us have played Battlefield for so long. So I think I don't know where the development team itself stands as far as Battlefield history, but I think they definitely need to be listening to a lot of the community who have been here since the beginning, essentially, as far as the tone and direction and things like that. Because there was no community feedback for Battlefield 5 really from what I remember, but specifically 2042, there was nothing really taken into account leading up to the game's release or development cycle.
Yep. Yep. I yeah. I yes to all that. The other
Face
thing is
palm, right? Face palm.
yeah,
That's
I hope they listen to the community to echo what you said. And also I hope I have a little bit of concern that all of the upper management, from Byron Bead, Vince Zampella, all those higher ups, came from Call of Duty, and Marcus Leto from Halo. So
Mhm.
we're getting influence from other games still. I hope And those folks are all incredibly smart. And I
Hmm.
hope they go back to the community. Some of the people who have been in the community a long time, creators, pro players, and stuff like that, and actually let them have a say on the game instead of turning it into games more like what they've made in the past with Apex Legends, Call of Duty, and
Hmm.
Halo. So
Yeah.
like those are some very capable minds and hands to be working on the franchise, but at the same time they've never made a Battlefield. So like I'm
Right.
still a little bit apprehensive with, even though we have new management, that I just hope that they start to listen to the community.
Hmm. And I feel like we say it every single week at the start of the show when we talk about Battlefield, but I mean, they just need to make a Battlefield game. That's it. Just
That's
make a
it.
Battlefield. Just make a Battlefield game. Look at Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 and improve on that. But I mean, that's really all you need to do. And I I think a fully remastered 1-to-1 Battlefield 3 would have far better reaction and player retention than 2042, and it's not even questionable. I think also when we I was breaking down prior to 2042's release, and you probably know this better than me. I was looking at the different Battlefield titles as far as sales and also player retention, and I think Battlefield 3 was the largest sales at up until a time. I think Battlefield 1 beat it, but if you look at player retention, the game's life cycle, I think Battlefield 3 is still number one. I could be wrong. That could have changed by now, but that goes to show what Battlefield used to be versus where we are today.
Yeah, I'm not sure percentage wise, but that sounds right. I know
Hmm.
Battlefield 1 was like the highest selling one.
Yeah.
That's the game that got me into the franchise, was Battlefield 1.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm
So you
late.
never played Battlefield 3?
I downloaded it later. And
Oh, okay.
I played it like last year, just to try it
Okay.
out, and yeah,
Okay.
it's good. You can tell
Yeah.
it's dated,
Yeah.
but it's like, man, if I would have played this, yeah, I would have
Uh
loved it back
Dude,
then.
back when it was released, holy crap, the good times I had with that game. What I would do to go back to the prime Battlefield 3 release times.
Yep. So yeah, I think that covers it for the Battlefield update. I just thought it was a little weird. We'll kind of turn our eyes to August and see what the Kaleidoscope rework looks like. Again, it's going to be too little, too late content wise if that's all there is. And the season two looks like season one, but it's might give us a glimpse on what we can expect and hope for the next title. I'm hoping they can fix these maps and it'll give us a little bit of confidence maybe for the next Battlefield. I guess
Yeah, and hopefully more than one weapon would be good.
that would be pretty neat. Um, so yeah, I think let's get into the big juicy topic of Modern Warfare 2 leaks. If you're down.
Whew. It's
All
gonna be
right.
a big mountain to climb. Let's do it.
Yeah. So guys, bear with me. There is a lot of stuff to talk about. Um, it's just an incredible amount of information leaked. We actually split it into two topics. We're going to talk about the Modern Warfare 2 leaks, and then we're going to talk about the DMZ leaks. Like, there's so much information here. They deserved each of their own topics. So we're going to discuss that. And I guess I guess we should preface this whole conversation with, how does this happen? Like, how does all this information is coming to us from a, correct me if I'm wrong, a Warzone mobile alpha data mine?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems like. There's other stuff I'm not sure where some of the like operators images came from and things like that. It potentially could have been from the same files, but yeah, it's scary. Just everything's there and easy to data mine. So we have a huge information dump out of Warzone Mobile's alpha and
Yeah,
visuals for it too. There's a lot of it. I mean, we can't show it here because we'll get copyrighted instantly, but everything is out there on Twitter. If you guys just look it up, go to Reddit or whatever and explore around, you'll see all the
yeah,
animations and things like that that we've discussed is all there. So
yeah. You guys can find it. There's reload animations. There's weapon icons, weapon lists, maps. There's coding and data streams for different maps and quests and tasks and stuff. Just all kinds of stuff. So what we're going to talk about is the maps, and And again, guys, our apologies. I would love to show you guys these images and talk about them, but I also want to keep the channel around so we can continue to talk about stuff in the future. So, yeah, Activision has traditionally been like incredibly swift at taking stuff down. Like they just come in right away. So,
Yeah,
we got to be really
we don't want to
careful with
mess
what we
around
show.
with it for sure. Yeah.
Right. Activision is a slightly large, just barely bigger company than Crash Games
I
LLC.
I think it depends on the day, to be honest, but
We'll have to check the market cap. We're right
yeah,
in there. It's close,
yeah.
but we'll give them this one. So so we'll be careful. Um yeah, I guess the first thing to pull up would be I have a list. So this is actually a post. This is just text, so we're okay. This is actually a list of some of the first string of images that were leaked. The top ones are actually from Modern Warfare 2 maps. And then, like, again, guys, how in does this happen? There are maps from Call of Duty 2024 from Treyarch in this. And then there's also some ground war maps. So I can take a look at them and discuss them just a little bit. Grand Prix, that's a map that's also been talked about by Ralph, Tom, and others. It was definitely in there, and you can see an image of it. This is the one. I can't remember which country in Europe you're in, but there is an F1 race going around. It's really colorful with neon pink signs and stuff like that. And then there's also Oil Field. This one looks like, if you guys remember the color palette, looks like the solar map from Advanced Warfare, in my opinion. There's a bunch of tankers and they're kind of yellow and gray. And then I also saw, a data string for Oil Field Night. So there was a
Yeah.
night version of this map in there too. Did you see that as well?
I didn't see the image itself, but I did see the data string. Yeah.
And then Museum, I can't remember that one off the top of my head. And Saba, can't remember that either. Don't remember which one that is.
I actually missed all the images themselves. So maybe they were taken down by the time I looked because I was just out of touch with the reality all weekend. So
Yeah,
I've only seen the codes and things like that.
yeah. If I remember right, Museum's kind of like an urban, modern-looking building with kind of palm trees outside. I'm
Hmm.
just pulling these up from my head, guys. I'm an actual boomer, so just take these last few with a grain of salt. And then I think Saba was kind of like more of a desert map, I feel like. And then there was also DMZ key art. So like this is I honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I thought DMZ was like a code name. I didn't think it was actually gonna be called DMZ. I thought it would have like a cool new name. But DMZ is the name, and it's in all the data strings and stuff like that we've seen thus far. So
Was there
there's some,
actual images of the key art for that, or
yeah, there was key art for
really?
that.
Oh
It was
wow.
it looked like a modern soldier like you would expect. It almost looked like the a tan version of the Battlefield AI, but it was just a back shot with a really shallow depth of field. So it was kind of a shot
Okay.
over the shoulder of the soldier, and the
Okay.
background was like really blurry. It looked like some cliffs and stuff like that. It was kind of like desert looking. And then this is the stuff that actually, this is like, if you don't think that's crazy enough, there were images of Treyarch's Call of Duty Stealth and Pillage. Stealth, there's a little bit of a note down here from the poster on this forum post. They said the plane in the stealth image is likely an F-117 stealth fighter, which might allude to the next Treyarch game might take place in the 90s during the Gulf War. So that's reaching a little
Wow.
bit,
Okay.
but that is what aircraft was in that. And I think these are all map loading images, right? So when you're loading into the map and it shows you screenshots,
Right.
I think that's what these are from.
Okay.
um and then the pillage one looked like the inside of an old uh art museum with like where you think Gulf War, I think maybe somewhere in the Middle East. It was all like a white palace with pillars and stuff like that, and there was some fancy
Okay.
art on the walls. And then we see 3 ground war maps, Sierra, Fishtown, and Hydro, for and that was talked about in Ralph's and Deserto's articles as well. We've
Okay.
seen those too. So Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's yeah. I mean, again, all from a mobile alpha is pretty insane. If majority of it at least is coming from there that we've seen. So kind of I mean, I'm curious if they did this, if they just kind of let it go on purpose, right? Because they can anyone that's showing stuff, they can typically get it taken down. But it's also, I mean, we're talking about it, it's creating a lot of buzz, right? So I'm curious when things like this get out if it is on purpose or what.
Yeah, that's always the question I have is this like a marketing thing? But you wouldn't think they would have to resort to this for marketing. But how else do you explain it?
I think it
I,
generates a lot of buzz though, right? I mean,
yeah,
leaks, everyone on the content creation side is always talking about the leaks when we hear them and everyone's looking for them. So I mean, I remember when Ralph did his original Modern Warfare 2 videos about or post about what the setting was going to be and all of that. Um, I did a video and it go over 100,000 views, almost right off the bat because everyone was just like dying for that information. So I mean, leaks definitely benefit everyone. So I'd say it's probably a little bit of 50-50, maybe. Who knows?
yeah. And Chase adding in the chat, I'm not 100% sure, but he says this is the Ahmed Al Jaber Air Base in Kuwait.
Okay.
And so it might not necessarily be the 90s, but definitely looking uh Middle
That'd
East.
be that'd be good if it was, to be honest. I Infinity Ward is the only studio I believe that's done any sort of modern era Call of Duties. It'd be interesting if another studio does a modern-ish take and something in the 90s would be 90s, early 2000s is an interesting timeline to play with there.
Yeah, I
It's
think it would
just
be
it's
cool.
just modern enough, right?
Yeah, I think it would be that'd be a really cool setting. I'd definitely be down to check it out for sure.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's all the information map wise and stuff that came from a mobile app. I don't know. Like it's still crazy. It's still crazy to think about. Um the other stuff I wanted to talk about a little bit, and I couldn't find the article in time. Um, but along the lines of Modern Warfare 2, I wanted to ask you this question. Because we're gonna get into DMZ here in a little bit. Do
Hmm.
you think, and Ralph's article earlier talked about this, about how they were kind of spread too thin, they had a crunch culture, and a lot of people planned on leaving the studios once this game shipped.
Hmm.
Um, do you think they're spreading themselves too thin? I feel like Modern Warfare 2 is either going to have modes for everyone, Ground War for Battlefield, Hostage for Siege, DMZ for Tarkov players, Call of Duty, standard multiplayer for COD players, and a Battle Royale. Do you think they're
Hmm.
going to have something for everybody, or do you think they're going to be spread too thin?
I unfortunately missed that article from Ralph. I think we tried to look for it. It was taken down or something. I don't know what happened, but yeah, it's tough to say because it depends. I'll tell you from my experience with my work in the IT community, things have been very very busy since the pandemic. Just with a lot of people working from home, and business doesn't stop, and there's high demand. So development teams and things like that are always working extra right now, especially being out of the office. It's a lot of strain on everybody. So um, I don't know what the I don't know the specifics of the article, but I would definitely say everybody's overworked for sure. Now, where those efforts are going, right, and what that effort looks like as far as the development process for the campaign, the multiplayer modes, DMZ, um, is it all happening at once and everyone's spread thin? Because in my mind, I would say they should focus on, you want to focus on one, get it for the majority part done, and then turn it over to, your other secondary team while you shift and work on each game mode. So it really depends on how they're doing it. I would definitely say everyone's overworked for sure, though, and I think we saw a similar thing with Battlefield. Everyone left after, so I hope it's not the case because um, this sounds like it's going to be the best Call of Duty ever. So um, I hope at least the development teams are well compensated after the fact.
Yep. I definitely hope so too, because yeah, it sounds like it's going to be pretty awesome. I actually did, excuse me, the production team found that article.
Oh, good
I
job,
went back.
production team.
Shout out. I went and looked at my video because I knew I had the link in there. Um, so yeah, this is what Ralph talked about, the canary in the coal mine. It just basically talks about, again, a lot of this stuff sounds like Battlefield 2042.
Mhm.
He says several long tenured leads, seniors, and directors have resigned in protest against working conditions and pay discrepancies. Talking about to make up for the lost talent, a high influx employees were hired at an associate level with no prior experience. And there's just some quotes, and again, it sounds like Battlefield all over again, just a little bit. So I'm a little bit nervous about it, but again, I doubt there's any worry game wise. But he talks about how they've developed a crunch culture. I know
Mhm.
studios as a whole across the industry have been trying to get away from that, and it sounds like they're kind of doing that again with Modern Warfare 2, like pushing stuff up to the deadlines and making people work a lot of hours. And
Yeah.
it raises another question. Ralph did at the end. He said Call of Duty's as a formula has a ceiling. FPS games, on the other hand, are boundless. Like you can do anything with it. We're going to talk about an action figure one later on in the show, but he says you can only do so much, and this resonated with me. I didn't even think about this. You can only do so much with the formula before there's no room left to expand or innovate before it starts feeling less like Call of Duty. And I wonder if that's going to happen with this game, because if you think about it, developers of these long-term franchises are really kind of in a tough spot because
Yeah.
on one hand you want to innovate to keep the game fresh, but if you go too far Battlefield, you lose the identity of the franchise, right? So it's really a balancing act, I feel like.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, and everything you're saying from that article, I would say is correct. Um, this is the most. I would say this is easily the most anticipated Call of Duty game of all time. We know it's going to be the highest grossing Call of Duty game of all time. So, I mean, put two and two together, especially during this was developed, all during the pandemic, really. So how much of it was work from home, all of that, we don't know, but definitely it sounds like everything Ralph is saying in that article is correct.
Yeah, it makes sense. And
It
I'm
does.
yeah, it's just the way the industry's going, and I don't know if it'll ever change, right? Because you have these games have such high stakes, right? Like
Hmm.
they have to be done to get the company's bottom lines to look correct for investors.
Right.
They have to have all this stuff to get people to buy them, and the stakes are higher than ever, right? And there's just also uh Call of Duty has a really likely chance of pretty much monopolizing uh AAA first person shooters with this release, in my opinion. Like I said, ground war for Battlefield, search and destroy hardcore modes, the hostage mode for tactical Rainbow Six players, ground war. Did I say ground war for Battlefield? Christ, I can't even remember.
I think you did.
And
Yeah.
DMZ for Tarkov type players,
Yeah.
and Warzone for battle royale players. Like, and
And
they
you're
have
forgetting, I don't even think we mentioned they were talking about early on, we heard it probably from Ralph or Tom, like offline co-op modes with your friends against AI. So that kind of goes into like the Sandstorm, Insurgency Sandstorm. If anyone's ever played that, like hardcore checkpoint, right? You're online co-op against AI, and it's not easy. So I think there's gonna, like you said, yes, there's gonna be something for everybody in this game. Now, if everyone does end up resigning, who they are or whatever, let's hope that the KT or the knowledge transfer is taking place now. So when these senior developers and management rolls off, we don't see a knowledge gap when it comes to making changes and improving on the game going forward, especially with this 2 year gap in titles, which I would prefer if they had picked something to focus on for launch, and then we have this 2 year gap. Right, this is the problem with a yearly Call of Duty cycle. Thank God it's a 2 year this time, but think of the possibilities if it were 3, 4, even 5 years, what they could accomplish in that time. You'd be having new modes, new things like this every 6 months to a year to keep the player base engaged, and your game would be a la like Escape from Tarkov. It's this iterative game which is popular and living on for years and years and years.
it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out with
Mhm.
allegedly no mainline title in 2023. How they fill that
Right.
gap. I'm assuming it will be with DMZ and Warzone content probably more or less. It seems like the standard multiplayer doesn't get as many updates as like Warzone and stuff does now, and I'm sure they're just following the player numbers, right?
Yeah. That's kind of interesting because we heard Warzone 2 is going to be coming out this year. So yeah, I mean it is a 3-year development cycle. So apparently they were way ahead, and we've heard they've been ahead for the it hit the alpha build sooner than it did for any other title. But again, yeah, there's a lot of work going into this game. It sounds like, and I mean we can see the gameplay in the background. I think shows it. So
Way ahead of schedule, right, Battlefield fans?
don't say it. Don't say that, please. Hey, at
Yeah,
least we saw gameplay this early on, right? It's not something we
true.
can't say about Battlefield.
There was no gameplay. Oh
Yeah.
man. So no, I think that's a good segue. Again, all this stuff comes to us from leaked Battlefield, um, like mobile. So I think that's pretty much it for I like we went through it pretty fast, but there's a lot of stuff there. There's maps,
Right.
there's guns, there's actual icons. Today actually he put out a tac map view of the Warzone 2 map. So that was in there. Ralph commented on it, kind
Right.
of alluding to its accuracy.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's just so much stuff in there. I think you're going to be making videos on this stuff in the future this week, so stay tuned for that for a little bit more deep dive into it. So check out Buff's channel for that. I'm going to make a couple videos about it. There's some stuff that I want to talk about, but it's just everything came out in a Warzone mobile leak. So far, everything from Tom and Ralph is adding up pretty nicely, except
Mhm.
for the DMZ mode. And I think that's a really good segue to talk about it a little bit.
Yep.
Between Tom and Ralph, there was a little bit of a discrepancy. The way I was understanding it, and I think there was just a miscommunication. The way I was understanding it was Warzone was going to come out early, and then DMZ was going to be another free to play mode in 2023. What it sounds like is Ralph was talking about Warzone being the free to play mode, Tom as well, and that DMZ is going to be another mode within Modern Warfare 2. So I think
Right.
that's how it sits now. So like there was a little bit of confusion, but as it sits now, DMZ should be with Modern Warfare 2. Some of the later articles from Ralph are talking about how it's early in development as well, and to draw even more parallels with Tarkov, it's a little bit unfinished and they might be adding to it as we go. So we know that Tarkov's been in a beta for 5 years. Hopefully
Yep.
they can get it together a little bit
Yeah.
faster than
I
that.
think Ralph even said in his original when he originally told everyone about DMZ that it would excuse me, it would release in a beta state. Was the plan. But again, the back and forth between Ralph's understanding and Tom's understanding, I think this could all change, right? Things are constantly changing. We're not even, we're still months away from the release. So what may have been planned 6 months ago is different today, and that could change tomorrow, and it could also change, 2 weeks before launch. So really, I think th- we have the information, but we really don't. They can do whatever they want with it, depending on where it is in the development cycle, and if they feel they need more time with it or whatnot. So it's really up in the air at this point.
Yeah, we've really learned sometimes the hard way that leaks aren't always true. And I guess we should say that. Like, I get kind of tired of saying it because I enjoy talking about them.
Hmm.
But like how I framed them on my channel and kind of how we view them on the show is they may or may not be true, but either way, they're fun to talk about because we can frame them in a way that this is something we want to see for the game or something that
Hmm.
we don't. In a
Right.
time where there's not really any other content, it's fun to speculate and have wish lists and talk about these leaks as if they're just pretty much entertainment talking points. We don't have anything official, but a lot of it is adding up.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that's data mined from from a mobile alpha, you can't really argue with that much. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but that doesn't say that that's locked in stone, right? For code that's going to be released in 1.0. So that
Right,
stuff can
right.
be changed, moved. Things are always fluid when it comes to the game development
Mhm.
stuff, and things are always changing. This pulled up on the screen is the article, just kind of clarifying the timeline of DMZ from Tom Henderson. He does say. Recent rumblings of the DMZ appear to have been exaggerated, with the current plan to build the DMZ and its features over time rather than it being something as hardcore as Escape from Tarkov. And I've kind of gone back and forth with my overall opinion on what I think DMZ could be. Um, I, I still do it. I don't want to do it, but I still compare DMZ to Tarkov like everybody else. And I just
Mhm.
don't want people to get the wrong opinion, because I really feel strongly that it's not going to be anywhere as in depth and hardcore as Tarkov. Not saying that's a bad thing, but I just think we should be hesitant to compare it to Escape from Tarkov. But then when we talk about some of the code strings that have leaked in a minute,
That's what I was gonna say. Yep.
yeah, then it starts to sound a lot more Tarkov-y when
Mhm.
we look at some of the stuff that was also data mined from the mobile alpha. So I don't know. I guess we can talk about this too when we talk about Tarkov in the last segment, but I just I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see the like efficacy of these extraction type game modes, because I feel like Tarkov gets a little bit stale at the end of every wipe, and
Mhm.
and then it wipes. And I'm going to talk about this wipe a little bit later when everything deletes and resets. They almost have to do that to keep people interested in the
Yeah.
game. There's like no end game to these extraction type game modes. It's going to be really interesting to see how they do this, because as it starts out with games like Tarkov and Cycle and stuff like that, it starts out really cool. Like, right, you're leveling up your character, you're getting better and better gear. Pretty soon, you keep building up your money and your stash and completing quests and leveling up your characters, and you get to the end game, and it's like, what am I doing? I've escaped from Tarkov. Why do I need to
Yeah.
go back in, kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how a AAA developer with some time to do research and stuff like that is gonna put their spin on the extraction type game mode. Do you
Mhm.
see what I'm saying though, like about the in game being
Yeah.
weird sometimes?
Right. 100%. I mean, I'm kind of expecting like a more vanilla type version of Tarkov, which we'll get into. But yeah, the end of the wipes definitely stale. But also I'll be honest, the past couple of weeks I haven't really had any interest in okay, time to I haven't reached the flea market in the past two wipes because I don't have the time to put into the game. So I don't am I gonna get in and what am I gonna do? Put in, 20 hours and get to level 8 and still be nowhere near the flea market or do anything. I think when we talk DMZ, right, it makes sense that potentially with every new season there's some sort of reset. Um, that would be my theory, or at least they're adding new things all of the time. Um, so there's constantly things to do, new modes, new bosses, new challenges, things like that. And I think Infinity Ward does a really good job of that. Um, so that's something that I'm eager to see what they do with this based on the code snippets that we've seen.
Right. And to not get too far off topic,
Mhm.
Nikita, the lead developer for Escape from Tarkov, actually tweeted today EFT achievements, and just to see what people would say about having achievements in that game. That
Yeah.
could be something that they do with the DMZ mode. And building off what you said, I hadn't thought of that before, but that's a really good idea if they have it to where it resets every season, because Call of Duty has their seasons. But
Mhm.
depending on how high you get rewards going into the next season, one of a kind cosmetics and stuff, depending on how high your level is, that you can put on
Mhm.
your guns that says, hey, I'm really good at DMZ. Like,
Right.
that would be cool. But you lose a lot of your progression and have to go through it again. And what kind of stinks about Tarkov, this is really my second wipe in Tarkov of taking it seriously. And it's like going back to go get the pocket watch on customs. It's like, dude, I've done this already. Like, I've done it, like this will be my third time. So if they can kind of reset everybody's stash and everybody's progression, almost like a prestige system in DMZ, but
Mhm.
then give you cosmetics that show the work that you've done, so you get it was kind of worth it. Hopefully you had fun, but you get something to show for it. And then the next season, the tasks and quests are a different set of ones, so you don't have that same repetition of like a Tarkov wipe.
Right. Right. I mean, yeah. 100%. And I think Call of Duty, specifically Infinity Ward, does a great job with challenges. They do a great job with things like rewards, right? Calling cards, blueprints. Your operator can get unique clothing if you complete X amount of challenges during the season. And for DMZ, depending on how many PMCs, if you get, there's an endless amount of content or achievements that they can do. And instead of like it's hard not to compare and contrast with Tarkov, but like you said, you've gone and got the pocket watch every wipe, right? What if a new season introduces a whole new set of challenges and those mix and match on like a random generator each season? So you're constantly, you may have some repeats, but they could be near, they might not be early challenges, they may be later challenges, and there's just that way it's a new experience every time, and that's what I love about not only the battle royale genre, but also the extraction type modes are every time you go in, it's a new experience. And I think if they can keep doing that, right? I guess keep it feeling like a fresh experience every time you go in, every season, that would be a win because you want to go. It makes you want to go back to, oh well, this time maybe I could do this. What did I learn from that? And it just for me personally, it keeps me just constantly engaged and like obsessed with keep going.
Yeah, that would be cool. It would also be cool that if the quests and challenges were dynamic, so not everybody was going for the same ones at the same time. I
Right?
feel like
Yeah.
that gets a little weird, and you always
Hmm.
run into people and meet people in Tarkov at the same place, trying to
Right.
do the same thing, and it's kind of silly.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to shout out. Justin had a good point here in chat saying, he's been saying Call of Duty could somehow mesh with a Recon esque open world. That experience would be amazing. And yeah, I agree. And then you throw Tarkov in there and elements from what we're hearing just with the multiplayer. I mean, you're going to see elements from that in Warzone, in DMZ. So I'll tell you this, I have much higher hopes for DMZ than I did for Hazard Zone in retrospect, right? Hindsight's
Yeah,
2020.
yeah. I my optimistic self was like, they're not showing us any gameplay because it's so cool and they want to surprise us, and then no, they didn't show us gameplay because they knew it wasn't finished.
Yeah.
So yeah, but all right, so let's get into the meat of this one, the actual data string. So I'll let you go first. Before we do that, what I'm gonna do is just on the screen, so you don't have to see my big ugly face the whole time. I'm just gonna play a snippet from one of my streams, just playing some Warzone while we talk about this, because again, we don't want Daddy Activision breathing down our neck. All right, we don't want Bobby Kotick coming in here and doing what he does. Okay, so we're just gonna be careful with Bobby.
Oh man, I could have made a comment there, but I'm gonna not do it. Okay.
I felt like my comment was underhanded enough at the guy, but yeah, not a fan of that dude.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I'm just gonna pull up some stuff and then I'll let Buff get started. What we're gonna look at, guys, is from that Warzone alpha. And sorry, podcast listener. Actually, this works out for the podcast listener because
It
no one gets
does.
to see it.
Yeah,
So
no one's seen it.
everyone in chat and watching the VOD gets the podcast experience, right? Talking about shit that you can't see. Okay,
Yeah.
so this this is going to be some of the data strings and stuff like that. We can get some information on the actual gameplay of DMZ, what's in there right now. So we're going to talk about that. We can't show it, but we're going to talk about data strings leaked from Warzone Alpha. Go.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, the Twitter handle is reality. If you guys look at that, it's you just take a look at it on Twitter, you'll find it. Regardless, there's a bunch of snippets of code that were pulled. I'm assuming this is right out of Warzone, the Warzone mobile alpha also. But we have a lot of challenges and things like that from what's supposedly DMZ. And this, when we talk about, we don't want to compare it to Tarkov too much. It's hard. We say that, and then we get this info dump of this code, and I mean, geez, it looks just like Tarkov with these challenges. They're even referring to the term PMCs, right? Private military contractors. So we have different challenges here for PMC oil field called sharpshooter. So kill X amount of grunts in oil field using a sniper rifle. There's another one that I thought was very interesting. Vehicle wrecker, destroy X amount of vehicles. Storm shooter, extract a hailstorm. So this could be dynamic weather potentially. radioactive rewards. Okay, so kill a boss and extract with their weapons case. Excavation elimination, kill X amount of operators in quarry. Wheelman, enter X amount of vehicles during one match. And then this one was really cool. Fully encumbered, extract with a full backpack. So this goes back to I don't know if anybody played Black Ops 4's Blackout, the backpack system, all of that coming back, which this is what I wanted, and that's what I liked about Tarkov backpack system. You can easily tryouts showed you can optimize it for controllers. There was a point when Blackout first came out, the backpack system was, for consoles we'd be in there forever, but they made so many changes throughout that game's life cycle that you could kill somebody and get up to a backpack so quick and get out of there and get what you needed. It was very simple. So I think you bet they took cues from what they did with Blackout, because Blackout was obviously kind of the testing ground for Warzone, but there's a lot more with this also that kind of shows that this is essentially Escape from Tarkov. And again, we had the different maps, which we already went over, which is also shown in the code. There was night versions of like things like oil field and things like that. And then there's also other challenges here. Search. So search the marked areas for radioactivity. Mass elimination. Eliminate X amount of hostiles. Scavenger. Collect intel. There's also stuff here referencing night vision goggles. So you nods. I'm reading it here. DMZ. NVG, night vision goggles. You also have things. These are just different acronyms within the code. So I won't get into the coding aspect as how this would work, but would be referencing these variables essentially. We also have USB drives, and then we have keys, right? So again, a huge Tarkov reference: resort entrance key, drilling safe, fortress entrance key, Smith's app key or apartment key, right? Resort office key, foreman's office key. Storage key, black site multi key, safe room 19 key. So this sounds, I mean, I read these today because I missed it over the weekend, and you sent it to me. This has me really, really excited because with Hazard Zone, I was pretty excited. This is, an actual AAA studio doing a version of Tarkov, and obviously that was a huge letdown. But this, from what I'm reading with this, the challenges and everything, I mean, this is about as Tarkov as it gets, especially, with that AAA studio spin on it. And if there's any AAA studio that's going to make a vanilla version of Tarkov, right, it's Infinity Ward that I would trust with it. So this is all really good. I mean, what do you think about this? Especially you play Tarkov more than I do these days. What do you think? Sounds pretty Tarkov, huh?
It does, and it's great. So, like, I see a lot of the same terms, right? PMCs, keys, resort. That's a POI on the shoreline map in Tarkov. And then it starts to make me like a little bit sus because, well, and also to preface this with what Bulletkin is saying in chat, it won't be anything like Tarkov unless they change the movement mechanics. There's a lot of stuff that's going to keep this from being like Tarkov. And we're not saying that. We're saying like there are some similarities. It's going to be a much lighter barrier of entry and game to learn. It's not, there's no way they're going to have the amount of detail that Tarkov is. Tarkov is its own thing, and in my opinion, it's going to stay that way for a really long time.
Right.
Tarkov is a one of a kind game for the foreseeable future, in my opinion. So I'm not saying it's going to play like that. It's going to have much faster movement, much easier accessibility, and things like that. But so to go back to your question, right? So like I said earlier, I was on the spectrum where after talking about some of the development issues, I was starting to get less and less excited about DMZ. And then now, yeah, same. Like it starts to get me excited. It's crazy how they use some of the same terminology. And that's what I was saying before. It made me like a little bit sus because it made, like, what would stop a person from typing these out and then using Tarkov type names and things like that, as far as like PMC and keys and stuff like that. So
yeah,
that gives me like a little bit of trepidation when looking at these. It raises my sus meter just a tad. Like if somebody was going to type this out using the DMZ mode, which I thought it might be called something different, and then also using stuff like PMC. So yeah, I don't know. I still think it's pretty true. But yeah, if this is true, I'm excited because It's adding that depth that Hazard Zone didn't have, right?
Hmm.
It sounds like there's going to be things likely some of these keys and stuff like that is going to be are going to be really rare. So that gives you that little adrenaline hit when you're playing, right? Like whenever
Right.
you find something really cool and you're like, oh shit, now I gotta survive. It's, and I
Yeah.
catch myself
Yeah.
in Tarkov playing sometimes, where I'll go into a raid ready to mix it up, and then I'll find like a labs colored key card, and I'm like, oh shit, now I gotta
Oh
try
my
to
god.
survive.
Gotta get out of here. Yeah, I got all this loot. Now I gotta survive for 40 minutes of the raid or get out. Yeah.
Yeah,
In in Tarkov, I've never played a game where I'm more like, holy crap. There's a feeling that you get in Tarkov that you don't get in a battle royale, and that's your life means something. You don't get that in Warzone because you can just come. Okay, let's go queue up and get a new game. So yeah, it's definitely got me excited, and this is kind of everything I'm hearing of this so far is really what I wanted out of not specifically the OG Warzone with Verdansk, but I mean, I was floating this idea around forever with my community is, we all, there's the market's there for this realism modes in Modern Warfare and Warzone. So why wouldn't they take it up a notch? And in regards to like the PMCs and stuff like that in the code, I would say, I mean, a lot of that could just be placeholder as far as how they're referencing it now. We're at the point of the code, but that would obviously change, or it would be displayed differently when the game came out. But I would think, especially during peak Warzone time, Tarkov was beating Warzone on Twitch during its prime. So I think they looked heavily into Tarkov and probably just wrote it up as it was Tarkov, and then they would, uh, I guess, make it their own later on, right? But yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Anybody could have wrote that, I guess.
yeah, it would be cool if they did hit that sweet spot of still tactical gameplay, but
Hmm.
the accessibility and stuff of Call of Duty. I still worry about them being able to pull that off with like some of the crazy silly movement in a tactical game. Could be a little ridiculous, but there is a world where you can have crafts of fast and crazy movement,
Hmm.
but that can also be punishing, right? If someone's using cover and moving across the map and catch you in the open slide canceling, right? Like you made a mistake, even though you're really good at b hopping and canceling around, sliding everywhere.
Hmm.
So I hope they find that sweet spot. And Tarkov had to add inertia, right? Because they didn't have
Right.
inertia for a while, and people were doing the AD or the AD strafe spam, and it was really strong. So they kind of added inertia to slow people down a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how an extraction mode takes on how it plays and feels when you have kind of a tactical mode with more arcade style movement and time to kill.
Well,
I,
yeah, let me just interject right there quick because I want to say it was Ralph. It could have been somebody else, and I don't have the article or the post or anything on hand, but there were posts saying that some of these like DMZ would have refined movement. That now I don't know if that came from Ralph, so don't quote me, but it's stuff I did see from pretty credible leakers a while back. Is that those modes like DMZ would have refined movement where you wouldn't be able to slide. You would have limited sprint capability, things like that. So it sounds like it would be that slower paced version of the game that we would want. That way, you're not doing the twitchy movement. Because I mean, think about it. In extraction mode, where your life means something, it's kind of takes away from it if you do have that twitchy movement. And another thing to add there is that we also saw in Ralph's post, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, about we covered it here on the show, some of the mechanics, right? And one of them was and it stated in the modes with limited to no HUD, you would have to check your round counter or your magazine by pulling the mag out and checking it just like you would in Tarkov. So, is there going to be limited HUD in DMZ, and is the movement going to be refined? I think the answer, if I were a logical, rational human being, would be yes, because the twitchy movement and everything like that is going to be Warzone, right? DMZ would be for more so for people like you and I and the guys in chat. So they would want to refine that. In my mind, would make sense.
Yeah, that would be really cool if it was a limited HUD mode. Maybe even a
Mhm.
different. I don't know. I don't. This might open a can of worms, but like a different time to kill that kind of fit in better.
Yep.
Would be pretty cool. But then and the movement too. Hopefully, it's got its own set of mechanics that can be balanced and tuned to make it
Hmm.
play like an extraction type survival game rather than a more arcadey battle royale. I think would be really cool. Limited HUD makes a lot of sense for this type of game mode. It would really be
Yeah.
more immersive and make it have more of a survival feel.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's a lot of times when I'm trying to take a gunfight in Tarkov and I can't remember if I reloaded and it's not on your screen and
Yep.
it's a thing. It's a gameplay decision. It's like, do I check this mag? Maybe my enemy can hear me check it
Yep.
and then I'm gonna get pushed, or do I just go with it and see what happens? Hopefully I headshot it. Like, yeah, it's a whole thing. It adds a lot. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. I remember that now.
And I mean, Chase has some good points here in chat. So when we talk about Modern Warfare 2 leaks and something like that, there's the one mechanic where you're pulling your sidearm out quickly, right? We've seen those from the mobile experience that was leaked, where you kind of like stagger your primary and you pull your sidearm out while you're holding your primary weapon. Also, things like the new reload mechanics, right? It's going to be more like Sandstorm, so you can't like if you swap to your pistol while reloading, you swap back to your primary, there's not going to be a magazine in there. So you'll have the one round of the chamber, assuming you didn't go completely dry before reloading. So there's a lot of mechanics that are promising for a DMZ extraction type mode for me. So I mean, I'm excited, and I hope they put the right amount of time into this, especially if it's going to release in the beta. I mean, I don't want to do it, but my my expectations are so high and my excitement level for this. If it is what it's sounding like, and I'm kind of building up here as I'm talking, like that's probably. I mean, I'll play that 110% of the time over Warzone, and I think a lot of folks would as well.
Yeah, because as was also mentioned in chat, there's a whole console player base that doesn't have access
Right.
necessarily to
Yeah.
a game mode like that. That would be
Hmm.
really itching to
Yeah.
try it.
And Tarkov was beating Warzone on Twitch for a reason, right? It's not just because it was flavor of the week or whatever. I mean, people love watching Tarkov, and you're right. Console players haven't been able to play that ever, so that's an experience that if Infinity Ward can capitalize here, would be huge.
Yep, I
Did
totally
you ever
agree.
did you ever play Realism Royale by chance for
Yeah,
Warzone?
I didn't that make it like more like PUBG where you didn't get loadouts, you didn't have
I think you got your loadouts,
streaks.
but it was essentially realism mode from Modern Warfare's multiplayer, just in Warzone, right? So there was no HUD. Um, Minimap when you pulled it up, there was no vehicles. You didn't have your HUD for your ammo, things like that. So you had to, you were reloading. You didn't have there was no HUD as to how many people were left, how many teams, how many kills, any of that stuff. So it that in itself with no HUD made it so the entire player base playing that mode played the game mode differently. Now the movement was still the exact same as regular Warzone, but everyone played it slowly because there's none of that information to rely on. How much ammo do I have? Where are the vehicles on the map? Things like that. You couldn't see any of that. No idea how many people are left. The circle rotations were marked by like fireworks that went up, so there was a lot just with no HUD. It played completely differently, and I loved it. And unfortunately, it was only around I think 3 total weekends, which is kind of a sin, but it's I have a bunch of videos, a handful out on the channel on Realism Royale. It was so
I'll,
fun, and again, no suppressors. You didn't need to run suppressors because there's no mini maps, so you don't pop up on the mini map, so you can run some crazy builds and have a good time.
yeah, I'll have to check that out. That's really cool. No, I didn't play it. I went on some Warzone hiatuses at different points where I didn't play it for a really long time. So I'm
Yeah,
weird, man. I go back to playing Siege sometimes, and I go back to playing Tarkov and
yeah, I do the
Warzone
same.
and
I
all
do the
back and
same.
forth. So yeah, but I must have missed that, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it sounds like if they could make the DMZ a lot like that, that would play really well.
Yeah, it would, and that's kind of why I have hopes. It seems like everything's there to to do it, and they kind of had tested things here and there, like with Realism Royale and some other mechanics. So um, everything we're seeing with these code snippets for challenges and things screams Tarkov. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm liking what I'm hearing. And again, it's all the leaks we've heard is it's all adding up. Like just remembering things. Just when you were talking about the movement stuff, is I remembered it. So will that factor in? Will that even come to fruition? We don't know, but we can hope.
Yeah, definitely. I think that sums that up pretty well. I mean, all in all, I was starting to think this is going to be nothing like Tarkov, and then you could see these codes where it mentions PMCs, keys.
Yeah.
There's AI killing challenges, and like it just was absolutely brought me right back to thinking it's going to be
Right.
a lot more in that wheelhouse.
Yep.
Granted, again, the disclaimer: it's not going to be Tarkov, but
No.
it might be something new that's really fun, taking some of those elements. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Are you ready for the quick shots?
It's born ready. Let's do it.
All right. So yeah, I think that sums that up pretty well. That was a lot of stuff. So
That was.
I hope you guys enjoyed that.
And we didn't even cover it all, to be honest. There was still more stuff we didn't even get into because there's just, for whatever reason, a bunch of information was dumped for Call of
Yeah.
Duty. So
there's a whole bunch of stuff. That
Yeah.
seemed like it made the most sense to cover during the live show. That's the big stuff, but there's little
Yeah.
bits and pieces floating around out there everywhere. Like I said, stay tuned to our personal channels, I guess, this
Yeah.
channel and Buff's channel, because we're going to be breaking some of that stuff down. You guys want the quick shot hat back? Is that what Chase is saying? You got
Hell yeah. Put it on.
Hey, got one of these? You got one of these? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for
There it is.
quick shots. Let's go. All right. Yeehaw. Okay. So this show is awful. The first thing I wanted to talk about
Awfully good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Nice save. This is crazy. So some of these things that we're going to talk about are a little bit in left field, but they still have to do with first person shooters. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is how a Bungie is suing a YouTube creator for $7.6 million. And it is an absolute crazy thing. The creator's name is Lord Nazo, and this dude is wild. Like, you think this cowboy hat makes me wild? No, this dude is insane, and he actually got really upset. So what happened was, and this kind of alludes to a point where I hope YouTube looks at this and maybe makes some changes to their the DMZ takedowns and how they work, and put the tools in the hands of creators, essentially. You'll see what I mean here in a second. So what happened was, Lord Nazo was taking some trailers and songs that weren't put out on Spotify or anywhere, and he was just direct uploading these back to YouTube. So he was kind of taking like soundtracks and stuff like that and just uploading it, not doing any kind of fair use React content or not breaking anything down or giving opinions. He was just kind of re-uploading this stuff. And Bungie took it down because, and as we've seen, companies will do that. Not necessarily, like if you just take stuff and re-upload it, a lot of these video game companies will actually try to get it taken down because you're not adding really anything to it. You're just kind of taking their stuff. It becomes more fair use when you make your own content from it. So what happened was, he got mad that they did that. Then this gangster, he went and made a new account pretending to be Bungie, made a new Google account, made the avatar and everything look the same as Bungie, and goes around and starts taking down a lot of other large Destiny content creators, flagging and DMCing all their content. So just absolutely wiping out Destiny content on YouTube. And first off, you're like, why is someone able to do that? Exactly, YouTube. Why is someone able to do that? But they figured out who it was and what he was actually doing. Like, there's a whole thing. If you guys, there's this article and there's some other videos out there about it. But what he did was, he even took it a step further and started talking to those creators and talking shit on Bungie and being like, dude, they're taking down your videos. I can't believe that. They took down some of mine too. Like, he was pretending to like side with his fellow Destiny creators and pretending that it was like Bungie actually doing it. Like he took it a
Oh
step
my
further
god.
and was like talking to him and talking smack and like saying how bad it was. He couldn't believe Destiny and Bungie was doing this, and he was the actual one doing it. Yeah, exactly, Bullet Kid. If you play both sides, you're gonna win eventually. Yeah. Oh, that's right, Boston. Yeah. See, he also DMCA'd some
Wow.
of Bungie's videos, some of the official Bungie videos. He DMCA'd and took those down as well. And
What?
then went around on a bunch of discords and forums and complained about how Bungie was taking stuff down. But he actually took down some of the original videos from Bungie as well. So like absolutely insane. But kids, you use a VPN. He did not use a VPN, and they actually tracked him down. He used like a fake name and stuff, of course, for the account. But yeah, he used a fake name, but they still were able to track his IP. Exactly. He became the very thing he sought to destroy. So yeah, just crazy. And then he gets slapped with a $7.6 million lawsuit for impersonating Bungie and for all these DMCA takedowns and stuff. So what do you think
Yeah,
of that?
that's I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, what's going on with the copyright process over there at YouTube that someone was able to do this and take down Bungie's videos? So Bungie didn't say like, "Oh, our videos got copyright claimed by ourselves," and like,
Yeah.
what was going on that this was happening for so long? They're like, "Oh man, we took our own
Like
videos down. Darn."
I'm not an expert, but I'm thinking that's when the red flags probably really hit the high
Yeah.
gear, right? When like our own videos are getting taken down by ourselves.
That's just
So
scary, especially like all these other creators are getting their stuff taken down. I mean, is there no checks and balances process where YouTube like follows up to verify the account, right? I mean, that's that's
no,
crazy. Just
yeah,
some random dude creates an account and YouTube believes it. And how many people got their stuff taken down for no reason? So I mean, think about it there. I mean, they have a lawsuit. I would think they would have a lawsuit against YouTube as a content creator. You potentially lost out on money, right? For videos that were copyright claimed.
yeah, and I hope it brings awareness to the issue that is YouTube's DMCA system, because yeah, essentially, now don't get any ideas, guys. I know this show stinks, but somebody could impersonate us and like make a Crash Games Google account and take down the video, and it would go away until it went through all the appeal process. But it's kind of a guilty until proven innocent thing, so you'd have to appeal it. People and YouTube would have to look into it, and yeah, anybody can essentially take down anybody's video um as it sits now. So
Yeah,
it
well, they need to fix that pretty quick. It's not
yeah.
good.
And some of the solutions I saw, the best one was actually from Asmongold. I feel like he said to give those tools back to the creators, and essentially to make it to where um it was more in line with, if your video is something that's DMCA'd, you're the only one that can take it down, right? And make it to where it's like you have to be verified as that creator uh
Mhm.
to where it can be taken down, and kind of the innocent until proven
Yeah.
guilty, more like. But
Yep. That makes complete sense. Yeah.
so yeah, that was the first quick shot. On to the next one, old son. So the next one I wanted to talk about was Road to Vostok. They actually put out a new video on the development process of the game Road to Vostok, and it's a really cool video. So I wanted to show it on the screen and talk about it just a little bit. Um, yeah, essentially it's a single developer that is seems to be putting together a really cool game. And this one shows a lot about procedural weapon animations, and somebody asked them on Twitter, what does the procedural mean when you're talking about this stuff? And they went on to elaborate on how it's done code based. So, like traditional animation is done keyframe to keyframe. Well, this is actually done procedural with lines of code, so it makes it a lot quicker and easier to add weapons and stuff to, if that makes sense. So it like
Wow.
will make it easier down the road. But the guns and just the vibe of this game look really, really cool.
Can I just have to jump like, is this guy this is a solo guy doing all this develop like, is he the greatest game developer of all time? Like, what's going on here? This
Could
is
be.
amazing.
Yeah, it looks it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And you can go back and again, like I've said in the past, guys, if you're interested in game development at all, follow along because some of the older ones, these older work in progress videos, he goes back and shows some of the recon he does, some of the forests and stuff he actually visited in Finland, and some of the old outdated shacks and cabins that he took pictures of to model with and stuff like that. So it is super cool. You can see like some of the stuff, the new weapon, the PM5. That's not an MP5, it's a PM5. Shout out copyright. Um, so yeah, it shows how you can expect it and see that like the different wear and tear on the different parts of the weapon and stuff like that. So the gunplay looks really, really cool. The only thing that I like, if I had to pick something about it that I would change was I feel like the rest animation is a little bit in your face. Like, and that might be like more accurate or whatever, but I feel like whenever you're like not ADS, the gun should be a little bit lower to the right, a little bit out of your screen. It feels like it's kind of up in your face all the time.
This one's also got, like, pretty big iron sights on there too. I'm curious, um I'm curious what some of the other ones with it. It looks good to me, but also I play a lot of Sandstorm, so I like actually love that idea that it's kind of like very, I want to see this big, fat, tacked out beast of a weapon that I'm carrying at all times. So it's
Yep.
personal preference.
But yeah, like you're seeing now, sorry, podcast listener. Like you can see now in the video, it's showing some of the recon pictures he took of the airfield and stuff that he put in there.
Mhm.
Showing dynamic weather now. And again, this is a game. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check out the channel. If you just search Road to Vostok, it's the first channel that pops up, and follow along with the development process. You can also wish list this on Steam. So when anything comes up like player demos and stuff, you'll find out about it on Steam. But yeah, it's just looking really good. And roadtovostok.com is another thing you can check out if you're interested in it. But it's just looking really good. And they were talking about how they were going to show weapon and gunplay and stuff. And he hasn't missed any deadlines with these videos either. And I know that he's now doing full time development on it now. So in the last few months, it's been doing full time. It was kind of a passion project, but now he's able to devote some more time to it. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this game looks awesome. I know he was in chat like last show or 2 shows ago. We're gonna have to get him on at some point because
Yeah.
I mean the only thing I can say is like, geez, like, Raven Software, what are you guys doing over there with these
Yeah.
garbage Warzone updates? This guy's making, I mean, like, I don't even know what to say. It's a solo guy doing all this. It's crazy. So I mean, what's going on with these AAA studios? Especially look at Battlefield. Like, just turn it all over to this dude and let him fix the game for God's sakes.
Yeah. It makes sense. I feel like he's really smart with his scope too, right? Like not
Hmm.
too scope. Not too overly ambitious about what he
Right,
wants to do, right? It's a single
right,
player
right.
game. You have AI. I'm assuming you're kind of along a narrow road, so like you don't have to make a ton of acreage.
Hmm.
It's talking about the border in between Finland and Russia, and kind of making your way through the environment, survival and stuff, and looting and stuff along as you make your way. And it looks and sounds really cool, but I think it was really smart just to go with a single player game, not get crazy with multiplayer. Maybe it could work out into something. Yeah, I think it's a lot of along the lines of kind of Stalker.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. This is, I mean, this is a sleeper of a game, but every time we talk about it, um, like I want to see more. So I'm really excited to see what he does with this game. Definitely going to keep an eye on it and hope, eventually get our hands on it down the road. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it because I it's gonna be cool to see. Especially, you can kind of look back on the history of how the game got to where it is, and then you actually
Yeah.
get to play it. So it's I
Hmm.
love the behind the scenes look on the videos are
Hmm.
really cool too. All right, the next quick shot, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to talk a little bit about Tarkov. The wipe happened, and much like my opinion of the wipe. I didn't think it warranted its own actual like topic and discussion for a long time. I'm a little bit disappointed in it, and it almost felt like the game was wiped just to get people excited and playing again. It didn't feel like the changes that they made, while they're cool, there's stuff that needed changed. It didn't address any of the major issues, and it didn't really add a lot of content. A lot of these changes I felt like could have been made without a wipe. I feel like we're almost to the point in Tarkov where they have to do that to get people to play it, and it's just a weird thing to me to have a game that has to be deleted and reset to bring everybody back. And I don't know if that's a flaw in that gameplay loop that we're going to see with DMZ, or what, but I'm just doing the same tasks again on the same maps. And again, it's only like my second or third wipe of playing this game very much. And I was just a little bit disappointed. I was hoping there was going to be a lot of new things in the patch notes that they didn't show. I have a lot of surprises. They do that sometimes, and it just wasn't the case. They essentially changed some animations. They changed how lighting works. They changed how NVGs work. They opened up that little spot on the lighthouse and added some new items. But other than that, it wasn't a lot. And I might have got spoiled with like 12-12 with VoIP and a new map and stuff like that, but I just don't feel like they needed to do a whole wipe. There's still issues. The rubber banding is and netcode is as bad as ever. The audio is still janky in a lot of spots. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've only played a handful of raids. I think I got to re-optimize my PC and maybe get some more RAM or something for whatever reason. With all the updates, just like I've had one pretty decent raid, a couple there, and but some are just like so laggy. Like there was one on customs where I was shooting and just it was just so I was freezing and the audio was going and then it was like skip it and I got killed. It was the worst lag I've ever seen. That's probably on my end, but yeah, I know what you mean. The new weapons I was really excited for, and I still hope I can get some more game time in and maybe get them. But it's a lot of grinding is the issue I have with this game. Just a lot of grinding to get to the bare minimum to be able to get some of these weapons. Do the traders, and again, like we talked about earlier, you're doing all the same quests over and over and over, which definitely I think I started playing Tarkov in December 2020. So at this point, I mean, it's been 2 years for me. It's definitely like I don't really want to go back in and do all the same stuff again to get up to the flea market and the traders just to get kind of the same spot, right? There's just, I mean, you're right. The update itself, eh, nothing. I don't play as much as you, so it's nothing crazy. The main thing I was looking at was the weapons, which I still, like I said, I want to get my hands on. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. Especially no news on streets yet either. I think that's gonna be a big one coming down the road, hopefully. Um, so there's still a lot to come with that game, and I feel like personally, I'm just kind of waiting for that next couple big updates before I actually invest time because this game does you have to grind this game very hard, and I mean that's something when we were talking about DMZ, it's specifically COD creators, it's like you need to if you were to jump into Tarkov, you would need to grind like crazy. That's probably the main deterrent, right? Which is why a lot of people enjoy watching it. So DMZ would be a nice, easy way to not have to grind like crazy. But yeah, you do need to put in a lot of time to Tarkov, and especially if you're going solo, it can be tough. So I
Yep.
don't know. I definitely got to get more time in this wipe. But yeah, I hear you saying there's just not. There's still definitely a lot of issues that we're not ironed out with this wipe.
Yeah, the other thing I was hoping for was the AI was going to get updated, because like what they did with the rogues on Lighthouse, like they said they couldn't figure out how to make them tougher to deal with, so they just cranked up the aim. Like they have
Yeah.
aimbot essentially, and it will smoke you instantly. And it would just be cool if they worked on the AI a little bit. I think that holds the game back a little bit, along with the other things I said. But Tarkov has some stuff to figure out, I think, long term,
Hmm.
because there's certain things that are just flawed with that gameplay loop. And it sounds like I'm bashing Tarkov, and I'm not. It's a really cool game. It's a one of a kind game, and I devote a lot of time to it because I enjoy it. And it's really neat. It has some. I mean, there's so much replayability with, like, you never know
Yeah.
what's going to happen in a raid. Like, anything can
Hmm.
happen at any time. So it's a great game. Uh, but to have to delete everybody's progress so new players can get in, to get people excited about playing again, I think is kind of a flaw. And then I know there's a lot of loot in the game that I'm picking up now that I need. That's really cool. Like, you're finding stuff you need for your hideout. But once your hideout's leveled up and you're leveled up towards the end, there's so much loot and content in the game that you don't give a shit about anymore.
Mm.
Uh, and I don't know how to keep that stuff uh pertinent and useful and keep looting good, because later in the game I got to where I had traders almost maxed out, but I was done doing quests, and I really wasn't even looting that much. I was just kind of running around chasing gunshots. And yeah, I don't know what Tarkov 1.0 looks like when they allegedly put all the maps together, when the traders are on the maps. It's an
Hmm.
open world game. I don't know what they're going to do with wipes. I heard rumors that there's going to be, you'll have two characters. You'll have a server that doesn't wipe, and you have a like a perpetual character, and then you also have one that wipes every so often too. So, and then with arena splashed in there, I don't know. There's a
Yeah.
lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of stuff to keep an eye on. But I was just a little bit bummed with this wipe. I think we're gonna see. It's gonna be interesting to see. I don't think it's gonna hold people's attention very long.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of already like out of it. I mean, I watch a couple creators to see like what G36 builds they're running, the new Rifle Dynamics, AK builds and things like that. But that's really the only thing I care about, right? So am I going to get in and grind just to try and get those guns and eventually try and level them up? Because for me, the peak Tarkov for me is being able to, get a lot of loot, get the flea market, build the weapons I want to play with, and go in. And I'm kind of like, I can't do that until I get to a certain point,
Yeah.
and grinding to get there is something I just don't want to really do.
Yeah. And it hit me harder this time because last swipe was the farthest I've ever made it, but I had some
Hmm.
really good guns and a lot of tricked out and fun guns to use. And now I'm back to using the SKS and like crappy junk with crappy
Yeah.
ammo. And it's kind of annoying, but everyone else is using it too. And that makes it kind of fun at the same time. So yeah, it's just a one of a kind game that I feel like has some kinks to work out, but
Hmm.
I feel like they'll probably get there. They
I
added a
agree.
lot of stuff.
I would eventually, I mean, honestly, at some point, as someone in chat, StarCab said the Unity engine is kind of holding them back. I've been thinking for a while, at what point are they gonna bring everything to an updated or a new engine down the road? Maybe that's a 10-year stretch goal, but eventually, I would assume that would have to happen because they're still not really close to 1.0, like you said, right? So,
Yeah, they updated to Unity 2019 a couple wipes ago, so they have done
mhm,
Unity engine upgrades.
okay,
Uh,
okay,
but which they said it would help them with new content and develop easier and stuff like
that's
that, and
good.
they had better audio capabilities, and
Hmm.
they put Steam audio in the game and stuff.
Yep. Yeah,
But
we'll
yeah,
see.
yeah, we'll see how it plays out. So the last quick shot before we move on to chat Q&A, if you have a little bit of time for that,
Yep.
is there's a game that came out of nowhere. It's not really our cup of tea, but just the way it took over Twitter and stuff. Like, this video has like 6 million views on it or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a action figure shooter. What the heck was it called again?
Uh,
Hypercharge.
yeah, yeah.
Hypercharge. Yeah, and it's just it's a cool concept. Again, probably not my cup of tea. But you're an action figure in a toy store, so it's kind of like Toy Story. And it kind of, what was the movie you said?
Yeah, Toy Soldiers from what was that? Early late 90s, I think.
And I thought I saw in one of the videos, I thought I saw a skin that looked like one of the
I
toy
bet.
soldiers
I
from that
bet, yeah.
video or from that movie. So
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just really interesting. Every once in a while, shooters come out that change things and do something different. And I think regardless of whether or not it's something that I would enjoy or I would play, it's still worth talking about and giving credit where it's due. That it's something pretty interesting. It sounds like it's made by 5 developers, and I think it's coming to Xbox first, so they might be getting help from Xbox, maybe pushing it
Mhm.
out. but it's just a really interesting concept that I think should be talked about. And who knows, maybe it plays really well. I can tell you right off the rip that I'm not really too interested in like the setting and the theme and like the cartoony crazy stuff, but it might play really well. So you never know.
Honestly, this is something, I wouldn't like probably ever play it on the channel or anything, but this is something off stream, off videos that I could see myself hopping in once in a while and just like goofing around. I mean, it looks like something I do want to jump in and like explore and stuff like that because it reminds me of, like you said, Toy Story, the movie Toy Soldiers. It's just like it looks really really cool. I mean, and who didn't love Toy Stories growing up, right? So it's just like
Yeah.
what is there? What is this? We've only seen a little bit of this. I'm curious what it is as a whole. It definitely has me interested.
Yeah, it's definitely piqued my interest, and there's so many things they can do right with throwbacks to people that are like my age and stuff with like older
Yeah,
toys and stuff, and shout outs from Toy Story or that movie Toy Soldiers and stuff. They can do different things like that, so it could be cool. There could be, I mean, there's endless possibilities for like Easter eggs and stuff like that. So it's
yeah.
it's something to keep an eye on. It's kind of
I mean,
silly, but
also with rights and things like that. I mean, you could get like, I mean, I know Fortnite does it, but like, there's toys for everything. Star Wars, whatever. So if
oh
they,
yeah,
it could be really, it could be very, very cool depending on how far they
yeah,
can go with it.
the collabs they could do with Marvel
Yeah,
Universe and
yeah,
Disney and like Star everything. They could do all kinds of stuff like WWE wrestlers and like
yeah,
the sky's the limit with what they can do. So it's something to keep an eye on. I think I'm like you. I think it's not something that my channel would probably enjoy, but it's something like if you're kind of tired of grinding it out in Tarkov or DMZ or taking it serious, if you want to just mess around and have some fun and see what's on the map and
yeah,
that it looks like it could be the game to kinda
yeah.
unwind with. Kinda
It's
silly.
exactly. It's exactly unwind, like a brainless, fun. There's not many games I can play these days where I just can go in and have fun without trying to be competitive and sweating it out
Yeah,
and stuff. So this is like one of those games where I'm not invested. I don't really care, right? Because I'm a toy. So I just got to go in there and goof around. It is what it is.
exactly. So, yeah, I think that sums it up for the quick shots. That was an awesome show. If you guys wanna ask, any questions in chat, we can answer those for just a little bit here. Appreciate everyone for being here. Thank you. Chat was really active, and, it was a lot of cool stuff to talk about. I'll take my quick shot hat off because 'cause we're not quick shotting
There you go.
anymore.
I mean, we were even, I think we had Ralph in chat for a little bit too, which is pretty cool. So,
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, that was pretty cool. It's like we have a celebrity appearance in chat every once in a while. It's pretty neat.
yeah, right. For real.
So
That was a great show. A lot of good stuff there to cover. I'm excited for us to break that out. We'll have individual videos out on the Scopes channel as well coming up this
yeah,
week.
so yeah, if you guys came in late or there's something that you might have missed, that scope channel over there has a lot of clips and stuff that we talk about. We break some of these things out into more bite-sized pieces. So if you came in late or left early or something and just want some smaller cut down versions of what we talked about on the show, those should be going out. Hopefully I have the VOD up tomorrow. I'll have the VOD up tomorrow, and then the podcast out on the audio platforms tomorrow too, maybe even late tonight, depending on how crazy I get. But yeah, Milsim guy asked an awesome question. I even had this in my notes to talk about. Did you guys watch the terminal list? Have you?
Uh, I saw I saw my buddy Big Mike MW posting about it. I didn't realize it came out yet, so that's on my to do list this week. Yeah, unfortunately, I was out of town all weekend, so I missed it. But I heard you watched at least 2 episodes, right? How is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I'm at episode 2. I think you're really gonna like it. It starts out right away hitting you in the mouth.
Nice.
So it's not a slow build or anything. It gets right into the action, which I think is pretty cool. I'd recommend watching it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's definitely good.
I've been waiting for it to come out, so I completely like spaced and missed that it came out. So I meant to watch it a little bit last night, but maybe after we get off here, but definitely this week.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Um, there's asking about Doctor Disrespect's game. I'll check that out real quick. Um,
Yeah, Midnight Society. I didn't think we saw any gameplay or anything for that. Or really that many details. I wasn't really keeping too up to date
oh
with it, to
man,
be honest.
yeah. I I don't know, dude. most of what they posted today is about the variants, and it's about NFT cosmetics.
Hmm.
It shows it's showing some of the variants, so some of the skins, and then
Okay.
it's talking about how you can change your card, body, helmet, visor, cortex, left shoulder, right shoulder, weather, and your item that you're holding. So that's essentially like your NFT card.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. I hope it plays well, and I hope what Dr. Disrespect has said uh is accurate, that you don't have to do the NFT stuff if you don't want to, and you can still play the game, and it'll be playable either way. So if you don't want to NFT out, you don't have to, and you can still play the game and it plays good. But that's the
Yeah.
stuff they posted on their Twitter today. I haven't
Oh,
pulled
that
up,
yeah, that looks pretty cool. I haven't been paying really any attention to this. I just know it's like something ongoing. I
but
saw some initial things way back when they first announced it, but yeah, the images there look pretty neat. So really, all I have to go on, I guess.
yeah, I'm hoping that they get some gameplay out soon. I would really like to see it. It's gonna be interesting
Right,
to see how a game with Dr. Disrespect's name on it has
right.
uh how it plays and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that on this show for sure. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but I mean right now, man, it's a lot of NFT stuff talking about these acceptance emails into the variant database. That's the people that paid for the founders edition or whatever. You get your own
Mm,
custom card that's on the blockchain or whatever. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I just have no interest in NFTs or any of that stuff, to be honest. But
I
we'll
don't
see.
I don't really either.
Yeah.
Starcab, which game are you talking about, Starcab? On the ill game? Am I reading? I'm not 100% sure which game you're talking about. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is either.
I'm slow
I do
sometimes.
see a comment from Sergio here. Do you think Modern Warfare 2 gunsmith sliders will help make gun builds feel more unique for Warzone 2, unlike Warzone 1, where all the guns only have meta attachments, making other attachments for the guns more obsolete? That's a good question, Sergio. We obviously haven't seen that. Like some of the creators got the demo, so it's hard to say, what the customization level is within those sliders, and then what the actual how those changes will actually impact your weapon when playing. But yeah, I think it sounds like to me, it sounds like each attachment's going to have a specific purpose, and it will fill that role within that space of the slider. I would want each attachment to do its own thing and have no relation really, for the most part, to other attachments. We see a lot of attachments that essentially do the same thing, and some doing better than worse. So it's like, why would you use an operator foregrip in Warzone? You wouldn't. So I think the sliders will definitely. I mean, it seems like it'll be awesome for me. I'm excited to do it. It really is about how they implement it, in my opinion.
Yeah, the potential's there. I mean, if you can
Right.
fine tune guns and stuff like that, that should mean that you can maybe find some sweet spot builds that are different than everybody
Right.
else's. I can't think of another way they would pull that off to get away from just having all out metas like they do now, other than
Hmm.
having some fine tuning adjustments like that, where you can kind of make your own thing, and it can be a lot more easily differentiated from other
Hmm.
players. That's a tough word for me today, apparently. um so yeah, I think the potential's there. I hope so. I can't say for sure, but I really hope so. It allows you to tweak the gun to your play style.
Yeah, and I really think. I'm hoping for someone like me who has I like to think I have a good amount of weapon knowledge, especially doing all the in-depth gunsmith for Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone. I'm hoping it'll give me like a leg up as far as like will some of these things kind of mimic real life, and regardless it will get it'll be something we can all get super in depth with and customize our own stuff, which to me with FP modern military FPS is like my favorite part, right? You look at like Tarkov, I love messing with the weapons. Modern Warfare Warzone, I sit in my weapon customization gun bench there in Warzone and do that more than I do play the game. So that's always been my thing for a lot of games, all the way back to like um, Battle of Honor Warfighter, where you can customize things. So regardless, we're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah, I think so. And it sounds like they're doing a really good job iterating on the original Gunsmith, which kind of changed the game on how much you could do to weapons originally, and it sounds like they're taking it even further, which is great. And it's going to be great for your channel and like right up your alley. So I'm excited to see what you come up with in the lab. And then lazy people like myself just watch your videos and then replicate it and good to go. But if there's a slider where you can tweak stuff, I might get into that a little bit, changing stuff
Yeah,
around
man.
it, see how I can
The
make it
good
feel
thing
good.
is everyone can mess with their own thing. Like I'm always just gonna build like realistic stuff, but I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be just like the good thing is you can do. There's so much customization out there, and it sounds like it's gonna be very in depth. So, um, yeah, it's just there's something for everybody. It sounds like.
Yep, cool. Well, guys, I honestly think that's a show. If you
Pretty good
do,
one.
it's a
Yeah.
great show. We talked about a lot of stuff. Thank you guys for coming along for the ride. Yeah, dude, so much to talk about. And again, when we end these shows, I'm always worried about, oh man, I hope enough stuff happens that we can talk about next week. But so far, it hasn't failed us. There's been no shortage of FPS news to react to and talk about. So we're going to keep doing that over here. Thank you guys, as always, for all your chats during the show and your questions. Like, you guys always are super on point with your questions at the end of the show. Really, really appreciate that. It's fun to talk to you guys about that. And just, yeah, everyone that listens and watches is really important to us, and we appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. Really good show, and the chat interaction is always great. I love reading everyone's comments as we're going through and talking about the topics. So thanks a lot.
Yep. All right, guys. Have a good night. We will see you in about 6 days. We'll probably get back on track as long as it lines up. Just stay tuned when the next show will be live. We'll probably try to get back on track with Mondays next week. And we'll see you guys then. See ya.
Take care.